grandfather had this saying to me, and he would look at me and he would go, "Things are going to get tough at times." He goes, "What matters is how you get up and dust yourself off and get after it again." He said, "Because every time you fail and you get up again, you're one step closer to being where it is you want to be." So are we going to make mistakes while we're doing this? Absolutely. Are we going to look back at some point and go, "Man, I can't believe we did that"? But right now we're in adaptability mode, and we got to adapt to everything they're saying every single day, and it changes. Count on you. I pray for you. There are blessings in what you're doing because you are working with the future of our country. Now I want to talk to you tonight about dream makers. Now I just had a book about dream makers I wrote, and it came out last month. And so I want to talk about that topic tonight because it entails, from the movie on, for 20 years, people went, "We love the movie, we love your story, we love Dennis playing you, but what have you done since baseball?" And since baseball, there's been a lot. So we're going to talk real quickly about some of that stuff, just so you know, we can overcome way more than we think we can. Now, as a young kid, as a military brat, my father was physically and verbally abusive. I never knew where it was going to come from, but it came. And I tell audiences everywhere, the bruises go away. It's the words that stick with you. And for a long time, those words stuck in my head. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. Why do you even try? My favorite one that I heard every day is, "Children are to be seen and not heard," every single day. And so as a kid, I didn't talk ever. He was big. He was scary. He was mean. He was supposed to be bringing me up in the best way possible. And maybe he was in his own way, but it was not a good situation between my father and myself. So while I'm talking about dream makers, I'm going to run through a few dream killers just to let you know what I've been through. And at the end, if you guys want to ask me questions, I'll answer anything you want to. First dream killer was my father. You're not smart enough, why study? You're not good enough, why try? So I tried to outdo everything he ever told me I couldn't. And the one place I knew I could do that was in between the white lines of a ball field. Whether it be football, basketball, baseball, track, it didn't matter. I wanted to get out of the house, and in between those lines, I could be the kid I was supposed to be for a period of time. And I relished those times. That was also my identity as a kid, since I didn't study because you're not smart, so why study? I took my ball and glove and football everywhere, and I'd find a group of kids playing. I would show them I could throw or hit, and I had a team full of friends, never had to say a word. We all adapt in different ways. We all have our own stories of where we came from. While I was teaching in Big Lake, this lady came up to me one day and she goes, "That kid is sorry. That is a sorry kid." And I said, "You don't know what that kid had to go through to get out of his own house. You don't know what that kid went through from the parking lot into the school, or from the school to the bathroom or down the hall. We have no idea what his story is." Well, I'll tell you, about 4 or 5 years ago, I got a letter from this kid. He was in my class for 2 years. It was biology. And why was he in it for 2 years? Because he did so good the first time. And so for 2 years, I said hello to this kid every single day and asked him, "How are you doing? How are you doing?" Just simple. So I get this letter 4 or 5 years ago, and this guy owns his own oil company, has a wife and 3 little girls, and tells me because of me, he turned out well because I asked him how he was every day and he knew I cared. So the challenge for you guys is to instill hope and belief and faith in themselves to overcome anything there is. If they see us flustered, they're going to get flustered. Cool heads prevail. That kid is doing awesome. He has more money than me. So I wish I'd have taught myself maybe. But it's funny when you look back and you see where you've come from and you're like, wow, that has made me who I am. And so the first dream killer being my father, that was easy. Just go play sports. Second one was my high school guidance counselor. You guys are like, "But we work for the school board association and you're just telling us bad stories about school." This guy came to me after I took the SATs to see if I could get into college on my own without athletics. And he stopped me in the hallway when he had my scores and he looked at me and he goes, "Jimmy, what are you going to do with your life?" And I said, "I'm going to be a baseball player. Everybody knows that." And he said, "Son, I hope so, because you're too stupid to go to college." wow, you're supposed to be helping me. Guy no longer works with kids. He's no longer a counselor. Last I heard a long time ago was that he worked in a movie rental store and he was renting the movie about my life to other people. Dream killers come in all shapes and forms. Know who you have around you. They want to see you fail. They've either tried to do something in their lives and failed at it, or they're too afraid to try. If they can drag you down to where they are, they feel better about where it is they are. And when I get into my kids and I talk about my high school kids that I taught, it even went with that. Kids who are talking you into not doing your homework. Let's don't go to practice today. We don't need to practice. We don't need to show up. We don't need to keep our word. We don't need to have manners. We don't need to have character. We don't need to have integrity. You see, dream makers are who you want on your team because they want to see you succeed no matter what. So if you surround yourself with the best, you'll be the best. The dream makers, the people who have saved my life, the reason I'm sitting here. The dream killers, they just urge me on. Later on, after that counselor had talked to me and I'd bombed out of minor leagues the first time, I went back to college and made straight A's. So let's not predict somebody's future just because of their behavior right now. Who they are now is not who they will be. And we need to work with everybody, and we need to support everybody, and we need to stop talking the talk and walking the walk. Because the kids aren't paying attention to what you're saying. They're paying attention to what you're doing. And people are like, hey, do those kids still stay in touch with you? Yeah, absolutely. We go into inner cities now with high school, minority high schools, getting kids back on the field, redoing fields, uniforms, weight rooms, and stuff like that. And my high school kids are still involved with that so many years later that now they go, hey, coach, we're older than you were when you tried out. And I'm like, thank you for reminding me how old I am today. That's awesome. But they're having kids, and I'm having fun watching them grow up. And they're teaching their kids things that I taught them. And I taught them things that my grandparents taught me. Because when you go back to the dream killers and living with my father, you had to get up and try to outdo yourself every day. So I never competed against anybody else. I competed against me to make me better, make me smarter, make me achieve dreams that nobody thinks I can do. And I failed every time until a group of kids from West Texas came along. All right, so now my father and the counselor, two dream killers. Third one, high school football coach. Now this guy was on both sides. He was a dream maker and a dream killer. The dream maker, part of my Hall of Fame football coach who won 8 state championships, told me that it doesn't matter how big, fast, or strong you are. What matters is how you end the game. If you have to do anything except crawl off the field after a game, you've not done your job. That was my coach. He would come out and he would kick you if you're on the ground. And he would go, hey, are you hurt or are you injured? And while you're contemplating that, you're not hurt too bad. And so he would say, get up, and you got off the field. We don't lay on the field. We don't lay down on our job. When it gets tough, we get tough. We get going. We make a plan. We have the heart. That's what that coach taught me. We won a state championship, and we were not the best team on the field, but we had a better plan and more heart. That is a dream maker part of my high school football coach. The dream killer part of him stopped me a week after my high school counselor, and he said, you have football scholarships to go wherever you want to, son. You're a football player. You're going to go to college and play football, then the NFL. That's your future, and that's what I've decided for you. And I'm 18, so I know everything. And I'm like, well, I'm playing baseball, and there's nothing you can do about it because, I was smart. And he'd only been coaching for like 37 years. And so what did he know? He goes, look, you're not very bright. And I said, I know that. The counselor already told me that. He goes, they are offering you scholarships and tutors to go to school. Lawn tutors, go to college, play football, then the NFL. That's your future. You'll never, ever make it in baseball. Give it up. And it was that thing of growing up with my dad saying, you can't do this and you can't do that. And sometimes to my own detriment, I try to do it anyway.